this is Ella here, and since I'm doing a speed paint of Kaido from Saiki-K, I just thought it'd be appropriate to also talk about the new anime that came out, Saiki Reawakening, and just talk about the voice casting choices and just like how I thought. So overall, I really enjoyed watching it. I first watched it in the dub because I found out that they had a dub for it. I thought it was just going to be in Japanese since the other season 2, and the other one wasn't dubbed. But I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I was on Instagram and I saw that Joe Zija would be voicing Saiki's brother. And I was like, well, that's really cool. And then I wonder if they're recasting everybody. And Robbie showed me a list of the voice actors for the season. And I was like, oh, okay, they're all different. And that made sense because Netflix bought Saiki, so it made sense that they were going to revoice all the characters. And it's cool that it was in English, but I'm just going to say that halfway through I switched back to the Japanese because it was just something that I was more used to since I had to watch the Japanese version in the second season. It wasn't that bad that it's been getting a lot of hate, I think, because I saw like articles talking about how it was like an embarrassment. But, like, it was just something that I couldn't wrap my head around, I guess is the way to put it. I just wanted to go back to the original, classic voices. With that being said, I wanted to take a moment to talk about each voice and how different it was, the choices that they made, and just, like, things like that. I'm not going to be bashing the voice actors that tried their best to do the impressions because they did do their best, I think, but we'll get into it and I'll tell you what I think about each one specifically. So with our boy Saiki Kusuo, his voice overall I think was okay. It's just I was so used to Jerry Jewell doing it, but I think that Kyle did an okay job. It's just it was slightly off. Like, I heard it, I can hear him doing the impression. There was just something slightly off. I think it was just like the monotoneness. Sometimes I feel like he had more emotion than Saiki was supposed to have, if that makes sense. But I don't really have too many things to say about Saiki's overall because it's just a pro tag voice, and I was just used to Jerry because Jerry voices in a lot of things that I used to watch in the past. So I was just used to his voice, so that was just like something that I could get used to. And next is Kaido, and his voice, when he uttered his first words in the episode 1, I was like, oh my god, that sounds exactly like the original. It sounds great. And then slowly the episode progressed, his voice got deeper. The first one, it sounded perfectly like Micah. And then afterwards, I don't know if maybe they told him to take a different direction. Slowly, he sounded different every single episode. He'd slip like in and out of like the impression of doing Kaido. Kaido's my favorite character. His voice is very important to me. And it was very strange, the approach that he took. I think he did a really good job with his jet black wings voice that he puts on. But when he did the shrill, oh no, type voice, it just didn't have the same oomph that the original had. Maybe it was just the low voice. Because Kaido's voice is not low, but it's like medium pitch. The range would just kind of flip back and forth between the two, and it was just really odd. Okay, and next is Nendo. I didn't have a problem with this one. It sounded more like he was just doing an impression of Nendo, but it was okay. It wasn't bad. I think that it needed to be more rougher and like gruffier sounding. Overall, I think that he did a pretty good job capturing Nendo's essence and just like the whole voice overall, I think. And then next is Kokomi Teruhashi. I feel like her voice overall isn't that hard to do because it's just an anime voice. It's just like a cutesy anime hee kind of voice. So I was like, okay, she's probably going to sound the same. But for some reason, her voice was more high pitched. It was higher than I think it was supposed to be. And I don't know if that was like the choice of the person voicing her or if maybe it's just her normal voice and they were just like, oh, just do your normal voice and just, I don't know. It was just strange because it was really high pitched, and it was a little off-putting when I first heard it because I thought, oh, this isn't going to be that big of a difference because she has like a normal voice, but it was okay. Next is Chiyo Yumehara. I thought that her voice sounded fine. The person playing her, it didn't sound really different. There were some moments where I was like, oh, that kind of just sounds like her. Her regular voice actor. So I was happy with whoever voiced her because they had the inflections that she had. She didn't have that many talking, but when she did, I was like, okay, this is fine. This is okay. So that was good. Next was 꽗ᴗᴜ. I don't want to be mean to the person voicing this guy. I think his name is Kellen Goff. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't know how to describe Joel McDonald's voice, but he just has like that, not raspiness, but just a voice that's really hard to mimic. I don't think that the new voice actor tried to do an impression of him. I think that he just, or maybe they told him to just do this, but it just sounded, I don't know, too similar to all the other voice actors. I feel like a lot of the voice actors, they tried to do impressions and then gave up and then just started doing regular voices, or maybe they just were told to just take it a different way. Basically, I just feel a lot of the voices with the new one clashed a lot. Because there was times where I also didn't know who was talking when they were overlapping in dialogue because the voices were so similar. And just with 꽗ᴗᴜ, because I just had a hard time grasping that it's not Joel McDonald. So I was just like, oh. And whenever 꽗ᴗᴜ would come on, I would switch to the Japanese because I wasn't a fan. Nothing against the voice actor. It's just, it's hard for me to see 꽗ᴗᴜ with a different voice other than his regular Japanese voice because I'm used to it. Alright, next is Kobayasu. I was pleasantly surprised with this voice. I think that he did a really good job. Kobayasu's voice isn't really, I feel like, that hard to do. I think that he captured what Jared Green originally had for Kobayasu, so I don't have any negative or crazy positive to say. It was a good voice impression, so I was like, alright, that's cool. Mera, I don't have that much to say about hers either because she didn't really have that many talking lines, and the one she did just sounded a normal person. I don't know. It's kind of hard to give my opinion when she only had like one speaking line. So, Hyro, I know his voice is already kind of low, but he's kind of like a high-pitched, energetic low, and I feel that it wasn't captured in the new one. Like I said, it sounded too similar to a lot of the other voices, so it was kind of like overshadowed. There was times where he got pumped and I was like, okay, this is good, but I feel like he just has that high energy 24/7 that needed to be there. So, Psycho. I thought that the guy had a pretty good grasp on his voice. However, he sounded kind of like he had a cold while talking. Like the audio sounded just like slightly different. And I don't know if that's just me being crazy or just how it actually was, but there was just something slightly off about the audio, and just his voice sounded kind of like he had to blow his nose just a little bit, just slightly. It's slightly there, and it was just something that I noticed, like I just picked up a little bit. Okay, with Makoto Teruhashi, I didn't really hear his voice too much because that's when I was watching it mostly in the Japanese, but I wanted to get a good grasp on like all the English voice actors, so I would switch it back for a little bit. Chris Hackney voiced him, so I was like, oh, this is cool because Dimitri in Fire Emblem, and there was like a lot of Earth 3 voice actors that I think voiced some of these characters, which I thought was interesting, but he didn't really talk that much either, so I can't really say anything bad, so I just think overall it was okay, and plus it was Chris Hackney, so I was a fan. I will talk a little bit about the new characters who didn't have a voice originally and has a voice now. Rifuda, I feel like her voice should have been a little bit more cutesy, because I feel like it was just like a normal voice, but I feel like since she's an underclassman, she needs a more higher pitched voice, and that's how it was in the Japanese, so I thought that that's what they were going to do, but I think she had just kind of like a normal voice. Ayora, she has this strange like dialect in the Japanese version, and I really enjoyed her voice in the Japanese, but in the English, which is really hard to do, to move it from Japanese to English, giving her that same voice that they do, but I feel like they just put on like a Valley Girl, and I wish they kind of went further with it. Like, it was an okay voice, it was an okay take. Akechi, he was voiced by Bryce Pattenbrook, and I immediately heard it and I was like, oh, okay, this is what they're doing. I wasn't hating on it. I thought it was okay. I just thought it was strange at first because I'm just so used to hearing him as like Adrian or like Nagito from Danganronpa, so I was like, okay, this is fine though. As for Saiki's mom and dad, I was fine with the dad. At first I was like angry because I was like different voices. I don't like change, but I got used to his dad's voice, and sometimes it sounded like the original, so I was happy. I was okay. It was just different, so I was just like, oh. And Psyche's mom, her voice was more high pitch in the original, and now it sounded like a mom voice, but it's just like I really enjoyed his mom's like weird high pitch voice that she had, her shrilly voice that she did. So it was just something again that I had to get used to, and I might rewatch it in the English again fully instead of just switching over. I just wanted to just watch it with the intention of just enjoying it after I got like a grasp on the new voices. And like I said, I'm not hating on the voices. These are just my critiques on like how they could improve on doing like the impressions of the characters who did it in the English version originally. But since, you know, Netflix bought it, it's not like my place to be like, oh, bring back all the originals or blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I recommend giving it a watch, Japanese or English. I feel like either way, I still laughed a lot. It wasn't my favorite, but I still enjoyed it. And the last episode was probably my favorite though. So I'm hoping that they continue because there's only 6 episodes. Also, since the second season has yet to be dubbed, and I don't think that it's probably ever gonna get dubbed, so I decided to make a casting call where I was thinking about fan dubbing the second season of Psyche, just because I really enjoy watching Psyche as background noise, and then just like kind of back and forth watch it between like drawing or something. And I can't really do that in the Japanese version of the second season. And I really enjoyed the second season, but I can't really rewatch it because I don't have time to, because it's just something I have to put my whole attention towards. So that's why I was thinking about like dubbing it myself with like a group of voice actors, and I thought that'd be really fun. So in the description, I have a link to the casting call if you're interested in being a part of the voice dub. I need voice actors and maybe a few editors too. I was planning on doing the editing myself, but like might as well have just a few more just in case. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was kind of different than what I normally do, because I talk about myself and draw and make animatics and stuff, but I'm really passionate about Psyche K. Anyway, thank you for listening. Tell me what you guys think in the comments, what you think of the new Psyche if you've seen it. And thank you for watching. Have a nice one.